Hey everybody, it's Jill, certified travel professional with Pink Shades Travel, hopping on today to talk about travel insurance. So, what it does, what it doesn't do, should you get it, should you not? Let's dive in. So, we're going to start today with a little story. We're going to go back to 2019 when my husband proposed to me. And of course, I said yes. And we immediately started planning a wedding. We knew we wanted to get married on 10/10/2020, so we were kind of in a spot where we had to start planning. I went to work on the venue and the dress and the caterer and the food and all the things. And I tasked him with planning our honeymoon. So he goes and finds a travel advisor. They talk about where we want to go. I had said anywhere tropical. We decided on Jamaica. And so he is in the process of booking this. He comes back to me and he says, "Hey, the travel advisor wants to know if we want trip insurance and this is the cost." And I was like, "No, we're not canceling this vacation. Like, we're going." And he said, "Okay." And so we didn't buy trip insurance. So we pay for the honeymoon, we do the things, and I'm sure you can guess based on the timeline what happens next. COVID. So we end up in a pandemic. As part of that, my company was shutting down its operations in Virginia. They offered me the opportunity to move to South Carolina. I chose to take that opportunity. So I chose to take the opportunity to go to South Carolina. But we had already planned this whole wedding in Virginia. And then on top of that, the governor in Virginia had imposed some regulations about no gatherings of more than 10 people. And COVID was lasting way longer than we thought it was. And so we made the decision to cancel the wedding. We wanted to be able to do it when we were going to be able to have everybody gather. And so the venue was great, the caterer was great, the cake decorator was great, the photographer was great. But when we went back to the honeymoon piece of it, the answer was really, you didn't book travel insurance. And so we were kind of in a spot where either we took the vacation or we did not, and we were out all of the money. So, faced with those options, we took the trip. We ended up going. But, moral of the story is, had we had travel insurance, I would have been able to really think it through and decide whether that was something we really wanted to risk or whether we just wanted to cancel it and get our money back. So, when it comes to travel insurance, you have three options, right? Well, I guess technically four, because your fourth option is to get none. I don't recommend that one. But you have a couple of things that'll happen. So if you book a trip and pay for it with a credit card, that credit card may have travel protection attached to it. If you don't know, you can reach out to your credit card company, look in your terms and conditions. But a lot of times, your Capital One, your Chase, Bank of America, some of them all have travel insurance or travel protection as part of the card. So as long as you have booked the flights, booked the cruise, booked the hotel with that credit card, you're eligible for that travel insurance. So I tell people that if you're going to pay for a trip and you want to pay for it with a debit card, put it on your credit card and then pay off your credit card from your checking account. That way you're picking up that additional coverage. And typically, travel insurance through your credit card companies is going to be what we call secondary insurance. So it picks up whatever your car insurance doesn't cover for if you have an accident. It will pick up whatever your health insurance doesn't cover. So it's typically, again, secondary insurance. Your second option is going to be through your supplier directly. So if you've booked, I'm going to use Carnival as an example. If you book a Carnival cruise, you can opt for Carnival Vacation Protection. And so that covers if you have to go home early from your cruise for being sick, if you're late to your cruise for delayed flights, it will refund a portion of the trip. if and Carnival has a cancel for any reason. And so if you cancel for illness, injury, something like that, they'll give you 100% back in cash. But if you cancel for any reason, they'll give you 75% of the cost of the trip in a future cruise credit. So you don't get the cash back, but they'll give you 75% of the value of the trip in a cruise credit. And then you have the option that I recommend, which is a third party travel insurance. Now, on those third party policies, you're going to have what I like to say is good, better, best. So you're going to have a base level that's going to cover lost baggage, trip interruption, some basic things. You have a middle of the road that's going to cover more, and then you have a best that's going to cover the most. A lot of times you can get that best level with cancel for any reason as well. So if you go see your hairdresser 2 weeks before your European vacation and she accidentally cuts off all your hair and you're like, I don't want to take this trip and take 500 pictures with my messed up hairdo, you can cancel for any reason when you have that best policy. Now, I'm going to disclaimer all of this with I'm not an insurance agent. You need to read the fine print on all of those. Again, lots of varying options. But the big reason that I recommend that one is you never know what's going to happen, right? So you're on a cruise ship, you're living your best life. You get up to go to the bathroom from your lounge chair on the pool deck, you slip and break your leg in 3 places. The onboard doctor is going to get you probably bandaged up and out of a little bit of pain, but at the next port, they're likely going to transport you to a hospital for x-rays and proper care. And so if that next port happens to be Mexico, the Bahamas, Jamaica, wherever, they're likely not going to take your U.S. health insurance. So you're not going to be able to hand over your Blue Cross Blue Shield card in Mexico. What they're going to want is cash payment or some type of agreement to pay it. And so your third-party trip insurance will reimburse you for that, and or depending on the level, may step in and pay for it directly. So just things like that that you would like to think are never going to happen. But what happens if you're in the middle of an ocean, have a heart attack, and you need to get a med flight? Turns out med flights aren't cheap. And so that insurance protection is going to cover those random things that just always seem to happen in life, right? And even, considering who's traveling with you, what level of travel insurance you want. If you're taking a multi-gen trip and you've got some older family members, you may want the best policy. If it's just you and your significant other and you're typically in good health, maybe the middle of the road or the base policy is where you land. If you're traveling with kids, maybe we up it some because everybody knows kids can be a little clumsy. So really considering who you're traveling with, where you're traveling to, and determining what level you want. And so your travel advisor is going to cover with you. I always ask, do you want trip insurance? And we talk about what that means. And so, when it's declined, I always kind of do a reminder about, that means that if any of these things happen, you're on the hook, right? So, and then of course, your fourth option is going to be no travel insurance. Don't recommend it. Now I will say, we have a family reunion coming up and we're doing a couple days in a hotel. The hotel's policy is that you can cancel up to 72 hours in advance for a full refund. We're not traveling out of state for that. It's not a foreign destination. And so travel insurance for that trip would have been, the cost of the travel insurance would have been about 50% of the cost of the hotel room. And with 72 hours in advance cancellation with no penalty, I felt safe not doing travel insurance. But again, if I'm booking flights, if I'm traveling across the country, if it's a $6,000 vacation, if I am taking 4 or 5 people to another country, travel insurance matters. So that's my TED Talk on travel insurance. If you have any questions about it, if you want to chat more about it, if you have some specific questions, let me know. I can get you some reading material. But again, my full disclaimer, not an insurance agent. always read that policy, always know exactly what you are and what you aren't getting with it, so that you make sure you're getting what you need to meet your needs and your family's needs when you travel. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, follow us on all of our socials. If you're ready to book a trip, if you're anxious to get out of the country and go see a different part of the world, www.pinkshadestravel.com. There's an orange button to schedule a consultation. I would love to chat with you about where you want to go and what you want to do when you get there. Everybody have a good one.